Is it Jesus or Yeshua? Yes. What do you mean yes? It's both. Well, no, like a lot of people say it's not because the letter J didn't even exist. None of English existed at that time. Okay, that makes sense, but you don't translate names. Correct, we transliterate. What's the difference? Transliterating is just pronouncing a word in a different language. So then how do we transliterate the name Yeshua as Jesus? How? Because it was immediately transliterated in the New Testament as Jesus, and then in Latin as Jesus, and then English as Jesus. So we transliterate based on the Greek and not the Hebrew? Yeah, we do that for Jesus' name. If we did it off the Hebrew, then Yeshua would be Joshua. And what would happen if you translated his name? Then you would get a phrase. Explain. Well, in Hebrew, Yeshua literally means Yahweh's salvation. And Yahweh means I am. So quite literally, Jesus' name is I am salvation. Whoa, it's cool, right? But still, since they called him Yeshua, I feel like we should still call him Yeshua instead of transliterating. But they didn't call him that. Most people at the time most likely spoke Aramaic, which means that they were calling him Yeshua. Really? Yeah, and back then they were speaking Hebrew, Greek, and probably most often Aramaic, which means that in his time frame, he had all these different people calling him Yeshua, Yesha, and Jesus, all within his life. And then the apostles, literally writing the New Testament, wrote it as Jesus. So in Spanish, Jesus. In German, Jesus. In Arabic, Esau. In French, that would also be Esau. I thought it was Jesus. It was before the infestation. I mean the invasion. I mean the immigration. Before that, before that, then yeah, it was. Is it Jesus or Yeshua? Yes. What do you mean yes?
Good morning, Patriots. How you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of Lamont, Missouri. I'm trying to come to you on all the channels, but for some reason, I can't on my Facebook Patriot Mike Show page. So it is what it is. They won't let me post. I guess I'm in trouble for something. Standard operating procedure when it comes to them, correct? Am I wrong? And that was the names of Jesus. You know, we were singing that Yeshua song, you know, the one about his names will manifest. It's a beautiful song. At rehearsal one day, I wasn't singing, I was playing the drums. And the Lord spoke to me and said, you know, they're complaining about my name. I just wish they would call one of them. Call on one of them. I posted a picture of my Bible on Facebook this morning and said, this is what a Bible looks like. Or I said, can you tell when someone reads their Bible daily? And I said, there will be signs, because my Bible was a little bit in the rough condition, if you know what I mean. Just a little bit in the my wife gave me that Bible shortly after we got married. It was a Christmas or a birthday present. I don't remember which. But she gave me that Bible short. So we will be married 20 years in October. So I've had that Bible for quite a while, and I've plumb wore it out. That's how you know. That's how you do it. Let's see if I can get this to pop up onto the screen. Yeah, there it is. There's a picture of it right there. I can't believe you let your Bible get into that condition. I was just talking with someone yesterday about that. Yeah. I let my Bible get in that condition because I read it. You should try it. You should try it. So, not to be outdone, China is mocking Donald Trump when the religious leaders would lay their hands and pray for Donald Trump, and China is mocking it. It's ridiculous. Just look at this.
Pray for your grace and protection over our troops. Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president.
Let me tell you something, China. Don't mock our God, because very, very soon the world will say, they will proclaim in the media, they'll proclaim on the TikTok, they will proclaim on the YouTubes and on the Facebooks and on the Instagrams that there is a God in Israel and a God in the United States of America. We're going to find out. You guys are effing around, and you're going to find out. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And the word of the day given to us by Marine in the Woods, and I saw it somewhere. I saw it pop up. I did. There it is right there. Is John 5:17 through 30. That's John 5:17 through 30. Make sure you crack open the Bible and see what God has for you today. You know, like if you crack it open every day, pretty soon it will look like mine. Somebody commented on the that post that I made on Facebook and said that they use their highlighter, and I need to start doing that more consistently too. In fact, I went out and bought some highlighters, and the reason that I need to do that more consistently is because I read a story about a guy who inherited his grandpa's Bible, and he started reading and studying that Bible. I mean, it was just like any other Bible, except it had all of Grandpa's notes and the highlights and things that Grandpa was going through written in the margins and whatnot. And he said it was like studying the Bible with my grandpa, who had passed away years before. And I thought to myself, that is profound. And I need to do that. And you probably need to do that too. So I was sitting here yesterday after my show, and I felt like my show was just kind of a repeat of information. There was some new stuff in there, like the terror attack that Caroline Levant comes out and says this yesterday. ABC News breaking: the FBI warned police departments in California that Iran wants to retaliate for American attacks by launching offensive drones against the West Coast. She says this post and story should be immediately retracted by ABC News for providing false information to intentionally alarm the American people. They wrote this based on one email that was sent to local law enforcement in California about a single unverified tip. The email then states the tip was based on unverified intelligence, yet ABC News left out this critical fact in their story. Why? To be clear, no such threat from Iran to our homeland exists. It never did. Now, the Tuckers and the Anomalies and all of the Patriot mythology insurgency are taking that post that Caroline Levant and saying that there was ever been a threat to America from Iran. Again, I was in the dum-dum classes in high school, and I have dyslexia. And I learned, when I joined the Army, I read and wrote at the 3rd grade level, which was minimum to get into the Army. And I can clearly understand, she's clearly talking about this one clear statement by ABC News and about a drone attack on the West Coast. Clearly. The problem also that I have, and mind you, I love Caroline Levant as a press secretary. I love Donald Trump. I love the administration. I love all things going on. I have to ask questions, though. I have questions. I have questions that need to be questioned, because there's more to the story on these drones, and we're just going to cover that here real quick, if I can get to it, because other things have come to light since the drones, since that story, since the White House pushed back on that story. Let's see if I can find the post. All right. I haven't gone far enough. I wasn't planning on, again, you know me, had it all planned out which way I was going to go, and this was not the way I was going, but that's okay. Here it is right here. Here it is right here. Homeland Security reporting. 4 drones stolen for Fort Campbell. Army offering reward for information on the theft. What? Huh? Also from Homeland Security. Now, this isn't ABC. This isn't the FBI. This is Homeland Security. Alert. High signs point to imminent Iranian terror attack on California. Stay vigilant. Now, we got a little bit of a mismessage going on. Somebody, hey, White House, get your team together and let's have a message. And then, of course, all that's happening. In the midst of all that happening, there's this Fort Campbell, Kentucky thing. Glenn Beck talked about it yesterday. And I'm like, what? Wait a second. Wait a cotton picking second. What are you talking about? Here's a story. This happened in November. And it's not made national news. No one's talking about it.
This hour, there is a $5,000 reward to figure out who stole several drones from Fort Campbell. The Army's Criminal Investigation Division shared photos of these 2 men. They illegally went into a building at the Army base last November and took 4 drones. They left in 2 different vehicles, a light-colored sedan and a dark-colored pickup truck. If you recognize either vehicle or the suspects, you should contact Fort Campbell.
Okay.
Mr. President, about 90% of my personal philosophy is
that just kicked over on its own, by the way.
Someone, unless they're trying to hurt you, don't take other people's stuff and leave me alone.
I agree with that, but we're not going to get into that right now. I don't know why I don't know where that even came from. It just kicked over as that other video ended. Let me stop that. Okay, let's get back to the stories. So we got this weird report yesterday from ABC that there could be possible some sort of terrorist attacks. Now let me just say this. I kind of thought that the attack from a ship off the coast was kind of far-fetched, because we would detect that. And it wouldn't, I mean, what really bothers me is as we watch what happened in Russia, when Ukraine, I'm trying to set something up and talk at the same time, and I just can't do it. When Ukraine attacked Russia with those containers, ship containers full of drones, they went and set up outside of a major Russian military base, and the drones suicided into their aircraft and destroyed a third of their strategic bomber fleet. It would be like setting up outside of the base near me where they keep the B-2s and taking out a third of the B-2s. That's the equivalent of the attack that was on Russia. It was a low-cost attack that was very, very successful. And how do you, I mean, literally the drones were in the air for about 3 minutes. How do you defend against something like that? Well, now, not to get into things, I've talked to a couple of people who haven't told me anything, but I have bounced ideas off of them, and they said that they were plausible. For example, back when one of my friends was a Marine, and in 2010, 11, 12, when he was in Afghanistan, they had Humvee equipped denial of aerial space equipment. What did it do? It blocked drone signatures. So like, in order to control your drone, you would have to have a signal from your controller to your drone, right, through the air. And he said by the time he got out of the military, they had condensed that down to about the size of a briefcase, man portable. So when you were going into an area, you could set up this man portable device that blocked the signals that you would use for the drones. Now, that technology had become so pervasive in Ukraine that the Russians and the Ukrainians switched to the system like our tow missiles would use, with a filament cable attached so it couldn't be jammed. So the Russians started laying in wait as the drones would come down. They would jump up because the cable would be drifting towards the ground. They would jump up and grab the cable and snip with a pair of scissors. Low cost. Drone goes into the ground. That's it. So the thought, I'm just on it, of them pulling up next to a military base and using these drones. Now, the drones, the problem is, though, drone technology has come so far. Those drones that were stolen from, according to Glenn Beck's research, those drones that were stolen from Fort Campbell were high-end drones that were AI autonomous and were capable of breaching anti-drone technology such as jammers. That you programmed a mission into the AI, like load up a picture of the target that you want and say, take out this target, and the drone would, and it's at these GPS locations, and the drone would go find the target the target, take out the target, kind of thing. So your jammers don't work. Now, are there other things? Yes, there is electronic counter drone measures that actually fry the chips inside the drones. So there's all kinds of different things that you could do. Marine says the drones that were stolen were small and designed for recon. I understand that. Why were the drones stolen? Were the drones stolen to be used? Was the drone stolen to get security? One of the things that Glenn Beck's guys that he was interviewing says, did the drone have encryption on it? And if the drones had some sort of encryption, that would give the enemy the ability to understand our encryption a little better. That's a bad thing. So there's a whole lot going on here. And of course you might say, but Mike, they can't attack us. This is just ridiculous. Well, yesterday, I'm sitting around yesterday thinking yesterday was kind of a slow day. Felt like maybe I didn't. I mean, of course, slow day in comparison to what? Comparison to 5 years ago, it was a busy day. But comparison to recent times, it was a slow day. So I sat down about noon and started looking to see what was going on. Well, then this.
Hall at about 10:50 a.m. East Coast time. And officials are saying 2 people were hurt as a result. We do not know what their conditions medically are right now. This is all the information we're getting in right now. And you're looking again, this is live from Virginia, Old Dominion University, and the cordon of police officers, that perimeter that has been put up. And I want to go now and focus James Gagliano.
Attack on Old Dominion. Shooter. And then as I'm scrolling through, I see this and I was like, oh, that's the same thing. It's not. This is in Michigan.
A 10 -50 a.m. East Coast time. An officials are saying 2 people were hurt as a result. We do not know what their conditions medically are right now. This is all the information we're getting in right now. And you're looking again, this is live from Virginia, Old Dominion University, and the cordon of police officers, that perimeter that has been put up. And
in West Bloomfield. The Temple Israel is a very large synagogue, Jewish synagogue with 12,000 members. I find this hard to believe. Inside job. You mean the theft of the drones at Fort? Yeah, I do too. It's got to be something. But is it possible that we have sleeper cells that have infiltrated our military? Is that even possible? Here is Fox News reporting.
Bill, a couple of things to note here. One is that we have just learned that the FBI Detroit held an active shooter training drill situation. I should say, yeah, okay, a training drill just 6 months ago at this temple. 6 weeks ago. Okay. 6 weeks ago, they held an active shooter training session or drill 6 weeks ago at this temple. Also, this is.
Make note of that, because I'm going to bash the snot out of the Patriot Mythology Insurgency by the time we're done here. They had training. It's a false flag. Stupid. We'll get to that in a minute. I got more to say on that. Here is some more from Fox News as we listen to the law enforcement talk about what's going on.
Came to the facility, breached the facility by driving into it, was engaged by security. We believe there is one individual deceased in the vehicle. It's been complicated because there was some fire, to say the least, with that vehicle. We believe that individual is deceased. No kids, this is the important thing, no kids or no staff was injured whatsoever, okay? So we have no victims other than one of the lead security people was hit by the car and was taken to the hospital for treatment.
So somebody taking a car, ramming it into the Jewish center there, the big, large synagogue, the mega synagogue, like a mega church. It's a mega synagogue. I'm just playing. I don't know. Do they have mega pastors at mega synagogues like we do at mega churches? Could it be that some, I guess you wouldn't call them you call them rabbis, that some rabbis are just in it for the money? I mean, I'm not saying this guy was. I'm just saying people are people. It doesn't matter what religion they are. This is at Old Dominion. This is at Old Dominion, where an active shooter, the shooter came in and shot and killed a retired lieutenant colonel.
Was the shooter? Did they describe those people at all?
The description of the shooter, they said he was a Muslim man. I know he was a student at ODU.
He was the student. He was a Muslim man. But boy, there's more on that story. We'll get to it. Let's just kind of load it up as it goes. There was a device found in the car, according to local law enforcement. Now, we're talking two different things. Don't get them mixed up. We have Old Dominion University and we have the synagogue. So we're back to the synagogue. It's all happening at the same time.
The vehicle.
There's only one person in that vehicle?
That's what it appears at this point.
What do we know about this fire?
Something ignited in the vehicle. That's a work in progress. We're, through an abundance of caution, clearing the vehicle for IEDs or any explosives. We've got a significant number of bomb dogs on site, bomb techs on site, and all of that's going to be done to check the boxes. We have deployed resources all across the county, just in case, out of an abundance of caution, that there may be a secondary site, but we don't have any information at this time to believe that. So we want people to take a breath. No one was hurt. We're on top of it. The chief and his team got here fast Everything that was supposed to happen happened. Security did their job, and then the responders did theirs.
Was it a Michigan vehicle?
Sheriff, what did the call come out as?
So the guy had some sort of incendiary / explosive device that went off inside the building and started a fire. So there was a fire there too. That's all been put out. Here is Old Dominion University shooter. This is from the scene as it was breaking. So there was a lot of chaos. This ends up being the shooter right here, former military, not officer, just military. So the guy laying on the ground that they were trying to help was the lieutenant colonel, retired head of the ROTC there, and he was shot. So here is some of this. Here is the individual that did the shooting. Remember I said, is it possible that we have sleeper cells in it? But this guy's story gets a lot worse, by the way. A lot worse. It's a lot worse.
Also,
it's again, it's a lot. Did I say it's a lot worse? I'm not sure. Here's some more from Fox on. No, I already did that one. Hold on. I want to take a page off here. This is from Zoltron's big Muslim party at Gracie Manor yesterday. This is the Muslims declaring their destruction of New York City and complete capture and control.
I got invited to have dinner with the mayor. Zohran Mamdani is the first mayor to host the iftar in his office, and it was honestly so wholesome. When we arrived, the room was decorated with these beautiful carpets. We all sat down, took off our shoes, and prepared to break our fast. I personally do not like dates, but of course the mayor gave it to me, so I had to try it. The conversations at this iftar was truly so wholesome. We spoke about our families, our Eid traditions, our favorite meals, and our goals for the rest of Ramadan. I participated, but not too much because that food was too good for me to put down. Me and him had a little one-on-one conversation about the rent prices in New York, and he said he's going to put it down. JK, he didn't say that, but he definitely should. We became besties after, and then finished off the night with taking pictures, content, and etc. And honestly, a huge shout out to our amazing mayor. I really wish you guys were there. We felt like a family. Everything was so thoughtful and wholesome. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him, and I hope to be back here next year.
Tell me why I got invited to an iftar hosted by Mayor Mamdani. At this point, my side quests just keep getting more random, but you bet I dropped everything to head to City Hall where the iftar was taking place. Zohran's team brought together a bunch of creators to join him for iftar, and I am actually a fangirl for him. Like, I can't believe this man is real. I low-key thought he was AI because he's too jolly and charismatic for a New Yorker. This man catered a massive spread of classic South Asian food, and you can tell he loves us. Then dinner turned into intentional conversations about Ramadan and what this month means to us. My favorite part was hearing from creators who don't practice Islam but have secondary knowledge through their friends. It's so beautiful when we share traditions without judgment, because that's what New York is. We are the most diverse place on this world, and I'm so grateful to call this city my home. With the mayor,
So y'all have to put on black burqas.
Thank you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Oh, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Zoltron's taking over. Oh, let me put my burqa on and cover my eye. Then this, okay, now we're Islamists. Is this? While this is happening, they're blowing up synagogues and shooting people at Old Dominion. But I digress. And it's important to know how the guy at Old Dominion died. It's also important to know his history. We'll get to it. Nobody talk about it. Let me get to it. I'm going to get to it. I promise. Here he is, the shooter, National Guards member, former National Guard. He was not in the National Guard when this incident happened because reasons. Here we are. This is the shooter. This is the presser about the shooter. He yelled, "Agbu snack bar."
It's a fair question. It really
completely depends. So we obviously are going to dig in, and this is why we need the public support to where he may have been before this, who he may have been in contact with, if he had any other supporters, anybody providing him information. So we have to track every single lead down, and that's is exactly what the FBI will do. Every single lead, we're going to track down the veracity of the information and make sure that we have a full investigation with as much information, again, to ensure that there isn't anyone else that he may have been receiving support from as well.
Do you have any evidence that he was self-funded?
No, I don't have anything at this time.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Now,
that was
Bolin, don't get ahead of yourself. Give me a minute.
shooting in Old Dominion in Virginia. Paul, what do we know about this suspect?
Well, we don't, excuse me, we don't know a whole lot other than the fact that we know he was already convicted for material support to terrorism, which is, by the way, the terrorism charge we have in this nation federally. It normally comes with a very big hit, but I think the most salient aspect of it is he's a naturalized citizen. Conviction on a terrorism charge means you're deportable. Why is he still here? And I can't believe that that's not the main question everybody's asking. Naturalized citizen, terrorism conviction. He ends up doing a whole lot less than what he should have done in jail. They get him out. And think about how, I can tell you, material support cases are not easy to make, all right? Made them, and it takes a lot of time and resources. And then to watch a guy that you got locked away where you said, all right, at least we got that guy off the street. He's not going to hurt anybody. And then they let him out, and then he does this, and he could have been thrown out of the country to begin with, is really astounding. And you know what? They have to do a forensic at what went sideways here, because that's not supposed to happen.
All right. So this guy was a non-citizen who joined the military to get his nationalization papers. He was busted for providing material support, in other words, spying for ISIS as a National Guardsman, was sentenced to 11 years in prison, only served about half that time. Now he storms Old Dominion and kills a retired lieutenant colonel who was head of the ROTC program while screaming Agbu snack bar. Why was he even still in the country as a nationalized citizen? He should have been deported, especially after he provided material support to our enemies. Why was he here? Oops, sorry, I don't want to put Chucky on there yet. We'll get to the SAVE Act. I was trying to take that off to make sure it doesn't make noise. Here we go. Here we go. This is Nick Sorter reporting. Breaking: the shooter at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia today is reportedly Mohammed Jallo, whatever his name is, a former Army National Guardsman arrested in 2016 for providing material support to ISIS per at Carrot. Why is someone convicted of supporting ISIS walking free? He was sentenced to 11 years. He got out. Jola, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Sierra Leone, traveled overseas multiple times attempting to join ISIS. He was convicted in federal court and released from federal prison in 2024. He should have been in Guantanamo Bay. The shooter is now deceased. Good riddance. Oh, but wait till you hear the Paul Harvey, the rest of the story. I'm just saying, good times here. Here is more report from the synagogue saying that the guy's badly burnt in the fire he started.
Let's just dial in here because the sheriff is talking with the press here. Information changes involved. Here's what we know so far. A car came to the facility, breached the facility by driving into it, was engaged by security. We believe there is one individual deceased in the vehicle. It's been complicated because there was some fire, to say the least, with that vehicle. We believe that individual is deceased. No kids, this is the important thing, no kids or no staff was injured whatsoever, okay? So we have no victims other than one of the lead security people was hit by the car and was taken to the hospital for treatment. That individual should be okay. So far, that's our information to this point. We have agencies from all over. Obviously, ATF is here, FBI. More than likely, will be taking the lead on this based on some of the preliminary investigative information we have, but we're not going to go into that at this point. But we want to assure the community it doesn't appear to be anything active. We're still clearing the area. We're going to clear vehicles for any explosive devices, the building, etc. Unification of the families and the kids are in progress. We've accounted for everybody that we believe was in the building at the time. So we're on path to continue to maybe pivot to, is there anybody else involved? And the investigative.
Okay, so there's more of the briefing. Kash Patel says that the FBI personnel are on the scene with partners in Michigan and responding to the apparent vehicle ramming and active shooter situation out of Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan. It's not like there's a whole lot of Muslims in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? They're reporting that the synagogue shooters believed to be dead, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to skip that one because it's kind of old. Now, here is this the one? I don't know if this is a repeat of the first one. I'll find out here in a second. I got two of these videos, but I got a couple of them a couple times as I was posting stuff real fast, trying to get everything covered.
I can tell you that we have confirmed reports that prior to him conducting this act of terrorism, he shouted,
Okay, that's a repeat. That's what I thought. But I don't want to miss the one. There's another update that I don't want to miss because it's really important. Bill McGullen says the victim of the terrorist attack at Old Dominion has been identified as Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw, who was a professor of military science and a leader of the university's ROTC program. He was a veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom. He says, it makes me sick, survives all of that just to be murdered on U.S. soil by terrorists who should have never been on the streets. I agree. Absolutely. Should not have been there. Speaking of terrorism, speaking of Ilhan Omar, Marco Rubio announced this yesterday. I can't wait to see Ilhan Omar's response.
Of our foreign policy, and it should be used for the purpose of furthering the national interest. That doesn't mean we don't care about human rights. That doesn't mean we don't care about starvation. That doesn't mean we don't care about hunger. That doesn't mean we don't care about humanitarian need. What it does mean, however, is that even foreign aid, which is not charity, it is an act of the U.S. taxpayer. The American charities are free to give their money to whoever they want, as long as it's not a sanctioned entity. But the United States and the taxpayer money should be spent in furtherance of our foreign policy, should be spent in places and on things that further our foreign policy. And even that is not unlimited. We have a limited amount of money that we can dedicate to foreign aid and humanitarian assistance. And that has to be applied in a way that furthers our national interests. And that's what we have sought to do as well. And in that endeavor as well, we have empowered the regional bureaus and our embassies to play a dramatic role. In fact, they are not just the implementers of this. They, in many cases, are the ones that are suggesting and are leading the response. And so bringing the tools of foreign aid underneath the umbrella of our broader foreign policy has been an important and dramatic reform. Even in the midst of all that, we remain engaged around the world, including in conflicts that perhaps are not central to everyday life in America, but the president has made it a priority to be a peacemaker.
So there's Marco Rubio. The State Department has defunded support for Somalia. I think we should stop sending money to everybody. You got all the people like Rand Paul and Tucker Carlson and Anomaly and Ann Carroll and Candace Owens and some of my friends right here in Sedalia, Missouri, screaming and hooting and hollering. Yes, Matthew Herring, you know who I'm talking about. Screaming and hooting and hollering, we need to defund Israel. We need to stop giving support to Israel. Blah. and I say, you want to stop giving foreign aid to Israel. I want to stop giving foreign aid to everybody. We're $39 trillion in debt. We ain't got no money. We have to print it to give it. We're not the same. So I'm all for it. Cut them all off. All of them been sucking on the teat of this hog for way too long. Cut them all off. It's time for them to grow up and become adults and take care of themselves. That's the way I feel about it. Here is the FBI's response. That's the young man that said it was a Muslim. I'm not going to play him again. I can, but I'm not going to. It says, early today, an armed individual opened fire at Old Dominion University, leaving one person dead and 2 others wounded. The shooter is now deceased. Thanks. Listen to how he died. This is awesome right here. This tells you that America is not an easy target, and some of these young kids are willing and able. The shooter is now deceased thanks to a group of brave students who stepped in and subdued him. Actions that undoubtedly saved lives with the quick response of law enforcement. The FBI is now investigating the shooting as an act of terrorism. The Joint Terrorism Task Force is fully engaged, embedded with local authorities, and providing all resources necessary in the investigation. In the meantime, please pray for the victims, their families, and the ODU community. All right. So the students stepped in and beat the guy to death with their bare hands. That's what happened.
Now,
that's what happened. Now here's from Fox. Here's from Fox a little more on the synagogue shooting.
Bill Malugin, the following reporter, senior federal law enforcement confirms our reporting that the suspect is dead. Additionally, told the suspect's body is badly burned. He was killed by armed security. Bill is told that he rammed the car into the building, had a rifle, got into a shootout with security who killed him. The car was on fire.
Another one deleted.
That would obviously be the source of the smoke coming out of that building. So it would appear now that the immediate threat to the synagogue is over, but now we're dealing with the aftermath.
So not only at the Old Dominion, Matthew's saying that just one of them killed him. Whatever. He dead. They said there were several people involved. Somebody knifed him. Good. However it happened, saving of taxpayer monies. These are look, you are your first responder. Nobody gets there quicker. The police just show up to clean up the mess. That's it. You want to save your life and your family's life, it's up to you. You are your first responders. At this synagogue, he drove through the door, jumped out of his truck, started shooting, and armed security at the synagogue responded by sending him to Allah. So good for them. You are your first responder. And by the way, when seconds counts, cops are only minutes away. Both of these situations were taken care of by potential victims who said, we're not going to be the victims. Good times. This is the one. This is the I think this is the one where she explains a little bit more.
With so little details that we know about the shooting so far, how are we able to confirm that this was an act of terrorism?
How it was an act of terrorism? I can tell you that we have confirmed reports that prior to him.
No, that's not it. I got it. I got another one. Doesn't matter. I've covered it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Get over it. I'm trying to get to all It was pretty hectic afternoon trying to get through all of this information as it was coming out. Pretty stinking hectic. Here is a Soros-backed Virginia attorney, Ramon Ferrari for Fatahi. I wonder what his religion is. And the reason this ISIS shooter was able to do what he did is conservatives and Donald Trump's fault.
It's a national sickness. We live in a country where people care more about guns than they care about 6-year-old children. They care more about guns than they care about synagogue worshipers. And they care more about guns than they do about college students. What that means is that it does not matter how hard President Hemphill works, how hard the chiefs work, somebody will be a victim eventually. It is a matter of time. And until there is the political will to break the spell of the cult of gun absolutism, you will see more incidents like this. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, don't look at anybody up here. Look at our lawmakers who don't have the courage to implement sensible gun control measures. Look to a Supreme Court that enables them, and do something about it. So that is the lesson. Let's mourn the people who have died. Let's decry what has happened, but let's keep the focus where it belongs. It belongs on us and having to change something so that we don't have to suffer through this.
And if I was a reporter, I'd tap my hand too. Are you a Muslim? Is that your faith, sir? I'd tap myself like he was tapping his hand. I'd tap my hand too. Are you trying to disarm us, sir, so that your Muslim compadres can kill us all, sir? It was not the gun's fault. It was the Abu snack bar's fault. It is not a cult of guns. It is the Second Amendment that our founding fathers put in to protect us from tyranny, whether it's religious tyranny or governmental tyranny, because our founding fathers knew that when seconds count, authorities are only minutes away. It is the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Period. And you, sir, should sit down and shut up. The gun had nothing to do with this. The Abu snack bar had everything to do with this. This guy was a jihadi carrying out jihad, hence jihadi. And you, sir, are one too. You want to disarm the United States of America because you'll never have a successful jihad as long as there's kids with a knife at Old Dominion willing to do what needs to be done. Or there's Jews at the synagogue, heavily armed, ready to defend themselves. Rotate your selector switch from safe to semi and prepare to defend your position, as they say. Yeah, I reject what you said. I reject everything about what you said. Here's some more as the authorities are now saying exactly what I just said, that the synagogue attack was stopped by armed security. Well, wait till I get to the Patriot mythology pusher insurgency.
I want to make sure the local community is aware, first and foremost, is this community works together hand in glove. This community takes care of each other. And we have been communicating regularly. I have been texting the chief, not just in West Bloomfield, but every place that's got significant houses of worship, the Jewish facilities, synagogues, temples, you name it, over the past 2 weeks. Obviously, what happens around the world sometimes affects us. So we have to think about it, be prepared for it. So we've been talking. I texted actually the head of security from the temple 2 days ago and communicated some information to him. So the first thing the community should know is that we not just today work together, we work together all the time. our state, our federal, and local partners. Number one. Number two, we train. In our world, preparation is important. We hope and pray it never happens, but that's not a strategy. Preparation is. So all of us have been training together for many years for active shooters or active assailants, mass casualty events, and tragically, we've had way more than our share. So that is ongoing and is in place. The third thing is important to note, no children and no staff were hurt. So we know there's evil in the world, and we know they only have to get it right once, and sometimes they do. They may not come on anybody's radar and they show up, but what happens when they show up, that's where training and preparation kicks in. The security staff did an amazing job. And you'll get some of the details on that. They stopped it.
It's a false flag.
No staff were hurt. Now, there were some injuries and things that had to be taken care of. One of the head of security was taken to the hospital. He got knocked down by the car when it breached the building. And we've had 30 law enforcement officers taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. So a lot of our folks from my SWAT team and other agencies are still in treatment because that building became engulfed when the car and we'll learn all of that through the investigation, why it became engulfed in flames, what was the ignition source. And I think the ATF is taking the origin of that source and origin of the fire. But in any event, what it did, it caused terrible, terrible smoke in that part of the building. And so when all of our people collectively went in that building to search out the threat, to remove innocent, a lot of them took in significant amount of smoke inhalation, and they're at the hospital being treated. So I also know you're going to have a lot of questions. A lot of those questions can't be answered at this point because it's super preliminary in the investigation. You
know, I've just first of all, Alaska man, you're right. I seen yesterday there were Jew haters trying to call the synagogue attack false flag while not addressing the Old Dominion shooting. And these are right-wingers, so-called. They're not right-wingers. They're left-wingers like Candace Owens, a never-Trumper from the beginning, like Tucker Carlson, like Laura Ingraham. They were all 2015, 16, 17, 18 never-Trumpers. Totally never-Trumpers. All of them. And they still are. They're insurgents designed for particular, but we'll get to it. Don't get me. I got a whole thing that I'm going to rant on here in a minute. Here is Laura Ingraham pointing out something. This is what he just said. What Alaska man just said. Ignoring everything that's going on to false flag blah is so stupid. It's so surface level thinking without taking a step down. You got to do your own research. I hate that. No, you got to do your own thinking and not count on some other patriot mythology pusher to do your thinking for you. Think with your brain that maybe there's something more going on here. Yeah, false flag. Blah. No, you're stupid. You're knee-jerk reacting, and you're also trying to make a ton of money saying the things that will get you a whole bunch of clicks. Oh, yeah. Here's Laura Ingraham. Just take a second and listen.
2 weeks, 4 attacks. In Austin, Texas, a gunman wearing a sweatshirt that said property of Allah and a shirt with the Iranian flag underneath opened fire on a popular street, killing 3, hurting 14. The suspect in Diagni was a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Senegal. In New York City, 2 ISIS wannabes threw IEDs into a crowd.
This is just 1 week.
Both men are U.S. citizens, parents immigrants. They traveled to the Middle East recently for months at a time, and they all emigrated from the region years ago. Today in Norfolk, Virginia, in an ROTC classroom at Old Dominion University, as we just discussed, a convicted ISIS supporter killing one, yelling Allahu Akbar, during the attack. The gunman, Mohammed Jalloh, is again a naturalized U.S. citizen, this time from Sierra Leone. And in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, a truck driven into a synagogue. The suspect is dead. The FBI is still investigating who he is, where he's from. These stories raise many important questions about our national priorities, immigrant assimilation, and the rise of violent anti-Semitism. And
so all that happened in the last week, 7 days. And I think it's going to get worse. So I played a video on my show after the show. It's on my Telegram page. If you're not part of my Telegram page, you're not part of Telegram, you ain't getting all the information that's out there. You aren't doing your research and you're studying. No, especially if you're not on my page where I don't put out the clickbait crap. T.me/Patriot Mike Thoughts. Links are in the description section. Download Telegram at telegram.org, telegram.org. And you don't have to put it on your phone. You can put it on your laptop, on your desktop, wherever. Because the biggest complaint is it sucks up memory on your phone. But you need to do it. And I know some of you did, so I appreciate it. You know, the Patriot mythology conspiracy people are all, Telegram's deleting my following. I'm down 400 today. Oh. You know what that is? Again, it's not having logical thinking and reading the terms of service of Telegram and understand what's really happening. You see, if you sign up on Telegram and you don't use it for a year, they delete you. If you don't log into your account on Telegram within a year, they delete you to keep their servers smaller. Doesn't cost them as much money. But I got people like, who did we talk about the other day? Mark Taylor. Conspiracy theory. They're out to get me, Mark Taylor. Oh, I'm down another 600 followers on Telegram. You know why? Because people got on the Telegram, started following right as in 2020, right as it came out. When was it? 2021, 2022. When they were deleting us all off of all the platforms, when they killed Parler, everybody switched over to Telegram. Bunch of people. But Telegram, again, has its flaws. It does suck up your memory and stuff like that if you don't set your settings right. So people started dropping off. And that's what's really going on with Telegram. With the people losing membership. But no, oh my God, it's terrible. Oh, they're out to get me. No, they're not. Read the terms of service. You'll understand what's going on. You don't have to be dumb. I'm sorry. He's not the only one. A bunch of the right-wing people. I haven't got any messages from me. Oh, you know what? I haven't got any messages. I just noticed that the other day. I've probably been 2 weeks on Telegram without receiving a message from some beautiful lady going, "Hi, Mike." And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. There's a reason. There is a reason, and that's not happening. I'm just saying. I am just saying. Okay, so doggone it. Yeah, I know what you're saying on Telegram. Hey, Jill, see that the Supreme Leader is in a coma he's missing a leg, and that the reports are that he might be dead. Have you seen that? That he might be dead. Well, I guess if he's in a coma, missing a leg, and he might be dead, he doesn't need the salt trick anymore. Because they say he suffers from impotence. I'm just saying. Oh, yes. Okay, it looks like this is the one I wanted. Yeah, okay, this is on the shooter guy. It says Mohammed Baylor Jalla, how do you say his name? The deceased shooter who killed one person and wounded two Army personnel Thursday morning at Old Dominion University had been handed an 11-year prison sentence for attempting to provide material support to ISIS. Then known as ISIL, CBS News reports, according to the FBI, he was released in 2024. His attack is being investigated as a terror-related attack, according to CBS. He walked into Constant Hall at ODU's campus and asked if he was ROTC class. When they responded yes, he opened fire, killing the instructor and a retired U.S. Army officer. This was an intentional targeted attack on military potential by ISIS, by jihadists, by however. A second wounded victim is in critical condition, and a third is released from the hospital. So that's what this is. That's what this is. This is terrorism 101 on display. C3 says this. Let me get this straight. Our government imported terrorists, gave them citizenship and taxpayer-paid benefits, and when they get caught plotting their terrorism, our judges let them out early so they could carry out actual terrorism. That can't be it, right? Yeah. That's pretty much it. And then there's this right here in New York City, just to spit in your eye. Now, the placement of Muslim prayer rugs in front of the FDNY's memorial plaque for the firefighters killed on 9/11 has angered members who contend the Ramadan observance disrespects the fallen heroes. The FDNY denies any intended disrespect. That's right. In front of the plaque of the fallen hero firefighters on 9/11, they put a Muslim prayer rug. This is a dominance thing. This is telling the world that they've conquered New York City. That's what this is all about. Now, just for the fun of it, this will probably get me kicked off of Facebook, but I don't care. Here we go.
Activate the sleeper cell.
But I've never been attacked by a block of gelatin. So I don't worry about what it does to a block of jelly. I worry about what it does to this asshole down the hallway. And if I shoot him and he keeps coming, I should do what? Shoot him again. And again, and again, and again, and repeat as required until what I want to happen happens. And when they fall on the floor, they're fine, but you can be killed by someone you've already killed. So if the son of a bitch moves or starts to get up, shoot him again. Terminal ballistics. Pistols put holes in people. Rifles put holes through people. Shotguns at the right range with the right load will physically remove a chunk of shit off your opponent and throw that shit on the floor. And you will have to get someone to come in and clean this shit up with a shovel. But it's got to be the right load at the right range. Double up, look, at 3 yards, big asshole.
I used to love that guy. He's retired now. Anyways, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Pistols put holes in people, rifles put holes through people, and shotguns with the proper load at the proper distance takes chunks off people. Depends on what the application is and what you need. It's good times had by all. Well, mostly. Mostly all. Let's see here. Which one do I want? Oh, the FBI. There we go. So here's the conspiracy theory. This is justthenews.com reporting. Here's the conspiracy theory. Watch this. Yeah, if you want to look up, they say you like that guy, Thunder Ranch on YouTube. A bunch of his old videos are there. They're great. The FBI's Detroit field office trained leadership and staff at Temple Israel in West Broomfield Township, Michigan, in how to stop an active shooter in January, just weeks before the driver rammed his vehicle into the Jewish temple. The driver on Thursday's incident was found dead in his vehicle, but was reported carrying a rifle in his car, according to the Daily Wire. The information has changed, by the way. He was dead outside of his vehicle, but that's another story. This is as information was just coming out. No staff or children in the temple were injured, but a security guard was hit by the vehicle and taken to the local hospital. The FBI posted about the active shooters seminar January 30th, which was designed to help clergy and staff at the temple learn how to respond to an active shooter situation amid rise of anti-Semitism. The FBI Detroit led an active shooter attack prevention and preparedness training for the clergy and the staff of the Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. The field office posted on X, the FBI's course combines lessons learned from years of research and employs scenario-based exercises to help participants practice the decision-making process, which is the most important part of it, of the run, hide, fight principles, and take necessary actions for survival. We appreciate them for having us. The field office said it has also trained other organizations in the state who are trying to protect schools, houses of worship, medical facilities, government facilities, and other public gathering sites and communities. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said security at the temple was able to quickly evaluate Thursday's situation, engage the attacker, and that shots were fired. OODA loop. OODA loop. What is OODA loop again? What's the acronym stand for, Marine? OODA loop. But that's what he described right there. He was able to quickly evaluate the situation, right? Engage in the situation. So OODA loop is what happens between here and here. That's what it is. That's the end of the story. Okay. So that's the story that come out. Now here let me load in the Patriot mythology, conspiracy theory, blah blah blah, puke 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 crap that's being put out there by one of the lead Patriot. I used to follow this guy. I don't anymore. Lead Patriot mythology insurgent pushers, Shadow of Ezra. The FBI led active shooter training at the Temple Israel in Detroit less than 2 months ago. Where an attempted attack took place today. That's me knee-jerking. The synagogue clergy and staff participated in an FBI-led training, which specifically used a scenario based on exercises similar to today. You mean like the most, I would say, okay, hold up, stop, knee-jerking, and let's just think about this first. Let's just put our thinking caps on, not our knee-jerking cap. Let's go a little bit deeper than the surface, than the candy fluff Patriot mythology BS that's being put out there. Let's apply some principles like, I don't know, the simplest answer is usually the truest one. The laws of physics still apply, that sort of thing. Yeah. And let's just apply this. Looking at recent terrorist attacks in the last several years, I don't know, like last year when a guy drove a truck through Mardi Gras, wouldn't it be reasonable to assume that at your place of worship, if a terrorist attack was likely to happen, that they might use a vehicle to ram through your front door? And is it reasonable to assume with the attempted bombing in New York City that they might use some sort of incendiary explosive device? No. They're going to come in and they're going to scream Abu Sakbar and serve everybody pulled pork nachos and BLT sandwiches because they love us. They're the religion of peace, don't you know? So why the hell would you be upset with somebody going, I don't want me or my family or my friends at my church or synagogue to become victims of Islamic extremist terrorism, so maybe we'll put some thought into stopping that. Oh my God, it's a conspiracy. It's a false flag because they thought about it and trained for it. Oh my These people are so stupid and ignorant. Tired of this. It's a conspiracy theory. Oh my God. He's not the only one. Several others are saying it. Anomaly was saying it. Let me point something out to you. The church that I attend, that I'm still a member of, has trained, what do you mean trained? It's a false flag. Trained security on staff at the service, intentional to take care of situations if they come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the other churches I'm affiliated with has trained people on staff. I'm talking little radio things. Yeah, roger that. Breaker 19. Maybe some in their pocket. Different churches have different policy and whether or not you can carry in their church. I respect that. They don't know me. They have people that they've given permission to, some of them. But it's now a conspiracy theory because the Jews were prepared. They don't say anything about the other churches that were prepared. Understand, if they weren't prepared, this Muslim extremist would have rammed that building and randomly started shooting people. And these Patriot mythology BS propagandists want to sit here and say it's a false flag because they shot back. Because they asked the FBI. By the way, in our community, many of our churches have gone to government-backed training places to train for these scenarios. Some of them have happened on staff. On the ground. These larger churches, the FBI and the government have been working with to secure them better. The big ones. Why the big ones? Why wouldn't they do the little church, the little Baptist church down the street that had 14 members? Because the bigger ones are bigger targets. Duh. Some jihadi is not going to get his 70 virgins when he goes out and takes out Sister Susie playing the organ with 3 people in the room. No. 12,000 Jews, that's a good target. Saying because these people prepared and that a prearranged, sponsored by the FBI class where they go around all over the country to churches and organizations that want to secure themselves and teach them how to do it. Duh. Why would we not be doing that? This is so stupid. This whole thought process of these ignoramuses is so stupid. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm tired of it. And I will push back with it violently with my words. Violently with my words. I will push back against these people because I'm tired of them. The superficial. You know what these Patriot mythology, and some of you guys follow these guys. You know what the Patriot mythology people are? Are you ready for this? They're the Joel Osteen. They're the name it and claim it preachers of the Patriot movement. They tickle your itching ears with what you want to hear. Oh, but I've done my research. No, you have not. I don't care how deep you dug into subjects. The deeper you get, the more propagandized you get. Well, you just haven't done your research, Mike. You just haven't. Bull crap. I've done more than you. I understand more than you. I know how planes work. I know how I have been actively involved for over 15 years with a group of people who train for these type of things, how to enter a room, how to secure a perimeter, how to walk into a building through a fatal funnel without being fatally funneled, full of holes. Have you? Marine has. Some few others have. I train on this all the time because I like it. It's fun. I'm getting so freaking old and decrepit, I can't hardly do it no more. And you want to know something? Some of these so-called patriot mythology pushers, they do the same thing. They go to the gun range and train stuff. By the way, if you're going to the gun range with your gun going plink, 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 let me tell you something. Number one, if you ever have to get involved in a shooting incident, if you ever have to defend yourself, my wife says that she does real research. She actually does my research. She's my researcher. If you're going to the range going plink, 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 that does not train you for a scenario where you actually have to defend yourself. Something just fell in my house. Y'all excuse me a second. It sounds like somebody just came through my back door. All is good. All's good. False alarm. My daughter had put the bottled water up on the counter and took several bottles out of it, and it lost its balance and fell off. City for shots fired. I pulled it off the screen. You wouldn't have heard anything. But right behind my door is a tactical shotgun with overloaded rounds in it. It's got buckshot, overloaded buckshot, slug, overloaded buckshot, slug, overloaded buckshot. So it's loaded. So it'd be fun. Anyways, but it did sound like someone just opened my back door. I was like, ooh, what was that? I was like, what got me though, what made me pause on that is my dog didn't react. So that confused me. Because if someone even breathes by our doors, the dog's was what it's there for. Anyways, false alarm, all is good. Thought I better go check that out. Anyways, it's always good to be safe than sorry. And with the things that are going on nowadays, with the where they call you out, what they call that? You know what I'm talking about, right? Where they call the sheriff on you, some kind of, what do they call that? You just don't know. So, anyways, all is good, all is well. Do not fret. So then there's this story. I don't know if y'all seen this. So Pete Hegseth, just before the war started, he spent a bunch of money on lobster and steak. Now, anybody that's served in the military knows exactly what I'm talking about. They know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a tradition. Been going on since First World War, maybe longer than that. I don't know. But there's some controversy on that. There's some people extremely upset about that. Scott Jennings over on CNN talked about it. Trying to find the post here. And so they've been talking about it all week, throwing a temper fit about Pete Hegseth spending money, buying up all of the lobster and steak in the United States of America for himself because he's a greedy bastard. Swatting. Thank you for that. I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
He has spent $15 million in 1 month for ribeye steak, $6.9 million for lobster tail, $225 million for furniture. He spent more in the month of September than most countries on earth spend in their defense.
Paul, do you believe
all for himself? Lobster tails?
Do you believe
while our troops are eating MREs?
No.
Do
you believe the Secretary of Defense is personally eating all the lobster?
Well, he can't eat 16.
Troops.
Oh, really? The troops are getting lobster
frequently.
Brothers Defect has steak and lobster. How's your steak and lobster? All right. Damn, you're decent. How's yours? I'm ready for war. We're going to war.
In theater. My God. Troops who are going to war.
Oh, my God.
Great meal. You know that.
They're getting lobster. You are so full of it.
Killed over this.
You're
going to get killed over this. Internet, do something.
I might have to double it. I had to run it back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Debbie says the morons that are sending buku the money to other guys. How about the fraud? How about the fraud? Just admit he ain't even touched the fraud at one Leering center. Wendy says this about my false flag incident. She says, you're missing a moment, Mike. It was a false flag. It was not a false flag. Me shutting off and going to see what happened was not a false flag. It was a false. That is not a false flag. A false flag is something that does happen, a real incident that they blame on the Muslims that the Muslims didn't do. Or like when CNN goes, you see the guy, right? He's dressed in the Muslim garb, right? He's got the checkered thing on his head, and he's screaming, Agbu Stekbar, Agbu Stekbar. And CNN goes, a white Republican mega guy, that would be a false flag. It was from 80 through 88. I was in from 80 to 88 in the Navy. We received it once a deployment, always traded lobster for extra steak. I would do that too. I'm not into the lobster thing all that much, but it's, when you're out in the field and you're eating MREs for, let's see, I arrived in country on September 4th, 1990, and we ate MREs until the DFAC was set up, where we got the K ration, the big cans, which is basically big MREs. September, October, it was late November. I ate MREs every day and nothing else. I'm just saying, except for the time that we raided the supply tent because they put the maintenance guys in charge of guarding the supply tent at night, and we found the dehydrated steaks and the pancakes and the dehydrated eggs. We had a good cookout after that, but that never happened. That was just a story, a rumor. It never happened. Here we go.
Ta-da! Steak, Capri salad, asparagus underneath, garlic bread that I already been into, lobster, hush puppies, a baked potato under this. Steak. That's pretty good. Capri salad. So good. Asparagus. Okay. Baked potato. Let's try a piece. Lobster. Oh, that's so good. Hush puppy. Garlic bread. This might be my favorite thing. Shrimp cocktail. Wow. They ate fruit salad.
Yummy, yummy.
And it goes so good. Got watermelon. I don't know if you can see, there's an actual fruit salad. It's like nuts, blueberries, and like some kind of cream on it. Ooh, it's like cinnamony. Pecan pie. Oh my gosh. Not better than my mom's, but that's pretty good. White cake. This is the good frosting still. Chocolate cake. Ooh, she's soft. Oh my gosh, bro. That's so good. You know I gotta get my Stanley, girl. Crisp. All right, girl. Time to get back to work. Woo! And by work, I mean an ice cream party.
Brothers Defect has steak and lobster. How's this steak and lobster? All right. Damn, you're decent. How's yours? I'm ready for war. We're going to war.
We're going to war. Everybody knows when you get it, you're going to war. And then Pepe Deluxe responds and says, Paul Begala is an idiot. Thank you, Scott Jennings, for setting the record straight. I have no idea how you aren't fired. I mean, that is a sincere compliment. Fired from CNN. That's what he's talking about. Every bite sounded like, well, I don't know about all that. But I do know what it's like to be in the military and get a good meal every once in a great while, especially while serving. Although some people don't understand it. Some people just don't. They just don't get it. Some people are just ignorant intentionally. And I think that's what the case is here. You know, the saying, you can't criticize the military if you never served in the military. Well, most of these CNN idiots, they should listen to their own advice. Here is Tim Burchett, who, by the way, is one of the few that serve in Congress who do not live in D.C. but travel home every weekend to his home, where his wife and his kids are at. Well, his kids are grown, but where his wife is at.
Hey, everybody, Tim Burchett. I woke up this morning thinking about my dad when he said that they hit the beach at Peleliu in the Second World War. He was in the Corps. He was a combat engineer, and they fed them a steak dinner, and how good it was and how thankful he was to get it. And because when they were in the mess, like these guys are in most of the time, they eat what's called MREs. But back then they ate K rations, and Daddy's K rations were dated, and they were left over from World War I, if you can believe that. But it's very disingenuous for these Democrat congressmen and senators to point out how much money we're spending on these steak and lobster meals when you know every dadgum night they're going out with some fat cat lobbyist and he or she's feeding them, guess what, steak and lobster. And somebody's paying for that, and it's going to end up being you and me eventually. So, and then where were they during the Biden administration? We were spending millions of dollars on drag shows for children overseas and transgender comic books and things like that, millions and millions of dollars. And we're still sending $40 million a week to the Taliban, which was, guess what, started under the Biden administration. So I can't believe it, really. It seems that they are directing the media where to look, and they're not paying attention to the big picture on purpose. And they're good at it. So anyway, thank y'all for sending me here, and please pray for our country.
Somebody says, where are the vegans? I can't think that if there was ever, when I was in, of course, it's been, a long time ago, any vegans in the military. You just don't get enough. I mean, you got to understand how active you are at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old in the military. All the running, all the training, all the things that you do, how active you are. I don't think you could survive if you were vegan. You got to have that protein. You got to have a lot of calories. I think there's 2,500 calories in an MRE. And the reason that there's 2,500 calories in one MRE is so that one MRE will sustain you for a day, if necessary. But we would eat 2 or 3, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it wouldn't affect us. So what are we talking about there? 7,500 calories a day? That's a lot. But when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, and you're burning that, doing what you do,
activate almost is not going to go.
It's not that much. It's not that much. There's so much fraud going on, and I've posted a lot of the fraud. Again, you should be on my Telegram page. I just haven't been able to get to the fraud because of all the other stuff going on. But just a couple little things on the fraud. This is a new thing. I hadn't heard of this, but this is nuts.
Homeless is not going to go away. Let me tell you why. Have you heard of body brokering? Someone that finds homeless people out of state, gets them insurance, shifts them to California, puts them into a drug rehab center in California. The drug rehab center makes $30,000 to $45,000 a month for the rehab. Then that person comes out of rehab, they give them drugs, they get them hooked again, and they put them back in. So that's called body brokering. And the person that finds these people gets commission. From their commission, they pay these people, ship them one way over to California, and they get them insurance. It's gotten so out of control and so bad that there's certain states that if you come from those states, those insurance are not acceptable because it's been done so much in California. And part of the reason is that the rehab facilities make a ton of money from all the homeless coming in. Then when they come out, and if they don't relapse to go back in, then they go to the homeless encampments and the homeless industrial complex that we have with the hotels and everything. I mean, a lot of them are billionaires who donate to the local politicians to get these government contracts like Project Home Key. So it's not going to be fixed.
It's so cynical. It makes me so sad.
Yep. That's interesting. You know what makes so they're taking these people, they're committing fraud, getting them through their program, then they get them re-addicted so they can put it back through their program just to make money. That is insane. But that's what these people do. These terrible human beings. Endless ranks of human debris. So let's see. We skip that one. Which way do I want to go? That's the question that I have now. Oh, Greta Thunberg. She's back in the news again. She's all upset about Cuba. United States is right now committing a brutal act of collective punishment of the Cuban people, depriving people of basic means of survival. We cannot allow this to happen. The 21st of March is the International Day of Solidarity with Cuba. I mean, did somebody let her know that they're already starving in Cuba? That this isn't unusual. This is normal. Somebody please let her know. Somebody in her circle. Anyways, the 21st of March is International Day of Solidarity with Cuba, because that's going to help everybody. Solidarity. I'm in solidarity with Cuba as I sit in my Swedish home, my multi-million-dollar Swedish home, eating my multi-million-dollar Swedish food prepared by my chef. I'm in solidarity. I'm going to put a little pin on. Do you remember when Rush Limbaugh used to wear the little dollar bill as a sign? He used to talk about the pin. Oh, I'm going to help the homeless. And then they would show up in San Francisco and kick the homeless off the heater grate so they could lay down for an hour with the cameras on the heater grate. What good does I'm in solidarity with the Cubans? What good does that do a Cuban? You know, it actually talks about that in the Bible. It talks about that in the Bible. It says, you tell people, be well. If someone comes to you starving, you say, be well and be blessed, and go on about your way. You haven't done anything to address their problem. That's Greta Thunberg. But it does make her a lot of money. It says the Nostra American convoy arrives and she's got another convoy of ships. Don't be careful, because the last ship that tried to make it to Cuba, they shot it up. Carrying humanitarian aid by air, land, and sea. International solidarity. By the way, you better not do it by air. They don't have any aviation fuel. You won't be able to leave. International solidarity and collective uprising are the only forces powerful enough to push back against the imperialism like this. We call upon everyone to raise their voices and take action against this brutality. Cuba has many times stood up for the world, and now it's time for the world to stand up for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship, and the chief dictator takes it all for himself, and the peasants get nothing. People are dumb.
We've just arrived in the colony.
So you know, speaking of, this is an older one, but I like it, and I'm going to play it anyways.
We've just arrived in the colonies because there was some bitching over a tiny 3% tax. Not that big a deal, but whatever, this shit'll be easy.
What the actual fuck? Where the hell are they? Unless they're lined up 10 feet in front of me wearing bright blue uniforms, I can't see them. These guys are such assholes. What kind of a dickhead doesn't line up in a straight line and patiently take turns shooting one another?
Sir, these colonials are worse than gonorrhea. They hide behind trees and pick us off while we pass through single file wearing bright red. And you would know, Corporal, even though we're the superpower of the world, we still don't know how to counter this ingenious tactic of hiding behind trees.
God damn, we've been here 8 years and are just getting our shit pushed in. These boys weren't kidding. They really do hate taxes.
Okay, this is our last stand. We may have a chance if we just... Nope. Shit. Never mind, those ass-smelling French are here. I'm here in place of Cornwallis, because apparently he's really sick today, to deliver terms of surrender to that giant stud right there.
That was AI, by the way. We didn't really go back in time and film it, but if we did, that's probably what it'd be like. So there's this happened yesterday too. I don't know if you all seen this, but this U.S. Central Command, it says 4 confirmed deceased and loss of U.S. KC-135 over Iraq. Tampa, Florida, at approximately 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 12th, a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft went down in western Iraq. 4 of the 6 crew members on board have been confirmed deceased as rescue efforts continue. The circumstances of the incident are under investigation. However, the loss of the aircraft was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. The identities of the servicemen are being withheld until 24 hours after next of kin have been notified. Now, another KC-135 emergency landed in Iraq with severe damage to its rudder, and the speculation is they collided somehow. I don't have an answer. I don't know, but we did lose a KC-135 over Iraq. So, not good. Not good at all. Let's see, what else? What else we got? Oh, speaking of Patriot mythology pushers, and I want to remind you something. General Flynn, Colonel McGregor, I've said this before. If they're not in the inner circle with Trump and they're giving information out, you have to question. Another Patriot mythology insurgent BS spreader is the general. Everybody's always posting that crap. He gets some stuff right, but he gets an awful lot wrong. It's just ridiculous. But let's go back to this. It's that General Flynn says, who wants to be a millionaire? Tucker Carlson, how do we get out? Colonel McGregor, phone a friend, doesn't know how to get out. An interesting and worthy analysis by a proven warrior and strategist. Keep in mind that in warfare, the best plan provides the most options right up until the last possible second. Tucker Carlson asks Colonel Douglas McGregor how the United States can get out of the war in Iran. Well, it's easy. After we bomb them into oblivion, we support the people of Iran in rising up and taking their government over and let them elect their own governor. It's government. That's how it happens. We don't have to do this. It's dumb. But these people over here commiserating completely out of it. They don't know what the strategy is. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they're doing it. They don't know anything. They know zip, zero, nada, and they're out of here armchair quartering. I mean, General Flynn and Colonel McGregor talking about tactics and how to get out of it, all that stuff. It's like me on a Sunday afternoon yelling at Patrick Mahomes when he hits Kelsey in the hands with the ball and Kelsey doesn't catch it. That I know about as much about commanding and controlling and participating in a professional football game as General Flynn and Colonel McGregor knows about this war in Iran. I mean, I know the fundamentals, but I don't know the game plan. I don't know the strategy. I don't know the training. I don't know what's going into it. I don't know the injury list. I don't know anything. But I can still yell if I want to. And that's all they're doing. Armchair quarterbacking when they don't have any idea whatsoever what's going on the other side. They don't have any idea. Let's see, which court was this? Let's see. Just as a judge. Let's see, the Circuit Court of Jefferson County. Jefferson. Yeah. At Kansas City. So here we go. Court ruling in Missouri. Says judge has just upheld Missouri Republicans' new 2026 congressional map that hands Republicans +1 U.S. House seats in November. Yeah, they redid the map. They got rid of the seat in Kansas City. It's gone.
That this corrupt regime has a.
So the Iran's sports minister on country not participating in the World Cup, considering that this corrupt regime has assassinated our leader, under no circumstance will participate in the World Cup. Donald Trump says the Iranian national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. Thank you for your attention to the matter. Now, what does that mean? Well, the Iranian government has threatened to kill the women's soccer team in Australia because they didn't sing the national anthem. So, the reason that Iran doesn't want their soccer teams coming to the United States of America, because they'll probably defect. That's why. That's the reason why. Let's see. What do I got? Right here. Okay. This is CNN. Well, you just have to listen. This is self-explanatory if you listen close. Scott Jennings over here too. He's pretty good.
The story I read in the Washington Post today that they said that the Defense Department has barred press photographers from briefings on the ongoing war that is happening with Iran because they published photos of Secretary Pete Hegseth that his staff deemed unflattering. The White House's response to it wasn't really to deny it, but they said that the Washington Post had fired all their photographers in response to this. But I mean, do you think that's appropriate for them to be banning photographers during a war because they don't like pictures?
I don't know how any of the four of us are qualified to comment on this. None of us has ever taken an unflattering photo. So that's number one. Number two, I don't know. Look, I look at this as
But you would have criticized Lloyd Austin if he threw out Reuters photographers.
I would have criticized him if he went AWOL. Oh, which he did, and I certainly did. Look,
right, but that's my point.
This is small ball.
Right, Scott?
This is because.
So she brings up Lloyd Austin. You would have criticized Lloyd Austin. It says I criticized him for going AWOL because Lloyd Austin, while Secretary of Defense, disappeared for like a week and a half and nobody knew where he was. Just disappeared, just gone. No big deal. Didn't tell anybody. Mind you, if you serve in the military and you're a private or a sergeant or captain, and you disappear for a week and don't tell everybody where, you won't be in the military much longer, unless you're stationed in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. That's AWOL is what that is. You won't be doing that. That won't be happening. Here is Assistant Attorney General Dillon on voter stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening on the vote, but it's not getting a lot of play in the media.
The first time the United States Department of Justice is actually doing something to help the states clean up the voter rolls. It's their duty to do it. But frankly, as you've reported, it's not just the, sort of blue and swing states that you've highlighted, but a lot of red states as well. It simply hasn't been a priority to do this. And in fact, when some states have tried to clean up the voter rolls by removing people who are inactive or dead or otherwise shouldn't be voting off the voter rolls, they get sued by leftist activists. And so the path of least resistance so far has been to simply let these voter rolls be. And then when you combine that with vote by mail that became the vogue during COVID, you then suddenly have millions of ballots floating around that aren't tied to legitimate voters, which of course decreases confidence in the outcome of our elections, which nobody should want in our country. So we're doing this on a nonpartisan basis to increase accuracy and confidence and comply with federal law.
So they got all these dead people, they got all these non-existent people on the voter rolls, and they're trying to get that cleaned up, and people are suing so that these organizations brought to you by George Soros and whatnot are suing to keep them from removing and purging these names from the voter rolls that are not legal voters. And you're like, wait, what? That's dumb. Why are we doing this? Well, because they need the votes. Because they got to have the votes. That's why they're doing it. Let's see this one right here. 60%. No, that's not it. I got one here somewhere. No, this is one. This is from 2024 out in Arizona. Okay. Just what she's talking about. This is what she's going after. The safest, most securest elections we've ever had. And everybody ignored this stuff.
This error happened in every county across the state since 2004, 2 decades. Now, the problem, it's an easy fix. The MVD needed to recode their software. In fact, they already did that. The problem is fixed. But the question is now, how do we treat those 98,000 people before the 2024 election? That's just 48 days away.
This isn't a comfortable position to be in by any stretch.
Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes says he will respond to the Maricopa County Recorder's lawsuit on Wednesday. The Recorder's office is suing him, claiming to have found more than 98,000 people who were allowed to vote the full ballot in Arizona for 2 decades when they never showed proof of U.S. citizenship. Here's what happened. If a driver received a license prior to 1996, there was no proof of citizenship in the Motor Vehicle Division records. Since 2004, Arizona requires a voter provide documented proof of citizenship. So if a driver with an older license registers to vote, the MVD thinks they have proof of citizenship in the system and allows them to vote a full ballot. Keep in mind, the Recorder says the majority of these voters are most likely U.S. citizens. They just don't have documented proof. The largest group of them are Republicans, followed by independents and Democrats. Most of them are between the ages of 45 and 60 years old, and more than 60% are in Maricopa County. The Recorder's office wants these 98,000 people to not be allowed to vote on a full ballot, which includes federal, state, and local elections, but instead a federal-only ballot, which only includes the president, U.S. Senator, and U.S. House of Representatives.
Every single one of these voters has met the minimum criteria in swearing an affirmation under penalty of perjury that they would have to do to vote in every election across the rest of the United States of America. Only Arizona has this, what I think is an unreasonable extra burden on its voters.
Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer wrote on X, the secretary argues that it is too close to the election to implement such a change and that would be unduly burdensome on voters and deprive them of their voting rights. That is why we are going to the courts to get.
So it would unduly burden voters and deprive voters of their rights. What about citizens? Notice the word that they use. They're worried about voters. Chucky Schumer does the same thing. He's worried about disenfranchising the voters, the American voters. He's not concerned about American citizens. The words they use is very, very, very important. Here's Mike Lee on the SAVE Act. Maybe.
Any election becomes meaningless if the franchise, that is the body of electors, is open-ended and unlimited. There's an old expression that goes something like this. It says, if everyone's family, then no one is. If everyone is a voter, then no one is, especially in a country where we've got over 30 million non-citizens residing in our country, and probably at least 10, 15, maybe 20 million or so of those are here illegally. And you're making it excessively easy for them to vote. You're creating a recipe for a nightmare for somebody else to commandeer your own election. You know, in the years since Donald Trump's first election as president in 2016, you've heard Democrats ranting and raving for years about foreign election interference, foreign meddling in our election. Josie, there is nothing that comes close to the amount of foreign election interference potential that we face right now. Because when you bring in 10 or 15 million people over a 4-year period, you add those to those who are already here, who are either illegal aliens already or who are non-citizens residing in the United States. Mm-hmm. And you do nothing to make sure that they can't vote after your laws have done everything to make sure that they can vote as long as they're willing to lie, and it's impossible to catch them. Your elections are soon going to be rendered meaningless. And we've got to get this done. The expression comes to mind. I'll quote a Democrat president on this. If not us, who? And if not now, when? John F. Kennedy used that in a very different context than we're using it today, but it matters to us today. This ship may not pass this way again. And in fact, if we don't pass this year, I'm not certain what's going to happen in this November's election. I really am not. But I am certain of one thing. If we don't at least try this now, we're going to lose at least the House, maybe the Senate too. And we've got to be able to look our constituents in the eye and say, I did everything I possibly could to make sure that our elections were safe, secure, fair, and honest. We cannot do that if we don't give this a really good, hard college try. So let's not be found on the wrong side of history on this one. Let's get this done right. This has the potential. I don't want to overstate the comparison because obviously this is different than the Civil Rights Act of '64. It's got a different focus. This bill is much narrower, but this is another pivotal moment in American history where the American people want something. They want it overwhelmingly. If Republicans, whilst serving as the custodians of both chambers of the legislative branch, if we don't fix this, heaven help us all. We will not be entrusted with power again. We will lose, and in some ways we will deserve to lose, but we have got the ability to get this done and get it done right. So please join me in the cause. Talk to your senators. Find out where they are on Save America. If they purport to support it, find out what they have done, what they have said publicly to indicate that they will offer their wholehearted, unqualified support to Leader John Thune as he invokes the talking filibuster to pass the Save America Act.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Senator, for being here with me today.
Thank you.
We should just get rid of the filibuster altogether. That's what we need to do. We won't do any of the thing, any such thing. Not at all. Because we're a bunch of stupid losers. Here is a former FBI agent talking about the enemies that we're fighting, talking about Muslim jihad and what they're doing right now to the United States.
According to all Islamic doctrine, is to ensure that there is an Islamic state throughout the entire world called a caliphate, and under that, Sharia or Islamic law is the law of the land. That's it. Islam is no more complicated than that. Islam breaks the entire world into two parts. The Dar al-Islam, where Sharia is the law of the land, and the Dar al-Harb, the house or abode of war, where there is not Sharia as the law of the land. The function of Islam is to eliminate the Dar al-Harb until the entire world is a Dar al-Islam. And the vehicle to do that is called what? Jihad, which in 100% of all published Islamic law is only defined as warfare against non-Muslims. So let's just put that on the line. And so we're here talking national security issues. We have people here that are running for the office of President of the United States, and we have to begin there. And what I would put forth is that since, and actually prior to, but since 9/11, our entire national security apparatus has been unprofessional in its approach to this war, from the four-star generals to the office of the president, to the national security staff, to the leaders of DHS when it was created, the FBI, the CIA, and other agencies. Because we have said this has nothing to do with Islam, despite the fact that our warfighting doctrine says when you analyze an enemy, you start with who he says he is and why he's fighting. And 100% of this enemy that we're facing, from the jihadi in Chattanooga to the 9/11 hijackers and everybody before and in between, have all said we're Muslims waging jihad in the cause of Allah in order to impose Islamic law and establish caliphate, period. So that's what it is. And if we look in Islamic law, authoritative Islamic law, the kind you get at mosque bookstores, not at Barnes and Noble, you will see that 100% of them say that jihad is warfare against non-Muslims. And it's total warfare. It's not just guns and bombs. It's psychological warfare. It is political warfare. It's subversion. It is the whole 9 yards. It's total warfare, something that our DOD has not been practicing. I would say you'd have to go back towards Reagan administration and maybe even beyond that. Complete and total war against non-Muslims.
That's what I'm talking about. And who said it? Someone in the comment sections, probably Tarred and Feather. Let's see. Must never hold office. Where is it at? It's the Christians not interested in another Inquisition. Christians didn't do the Inquisition. That was not Christian. That was governments. However, we don't need an Inquisition. We need a revival. How do we win this? We win the hearts and minds of the Americans. How do we win this? We let God change the hearts and minds in America. That's how we win this. That's how we push this back. That's how we do. See, you think with the wrong. You're thinking with the wrong things. That's not how. That's just not how you do it. Now, I got one more story. I actually got two more things I want to talk about. This is kind of a crazy story. This guy right here. This guy right here was just released from prison. This is a crazy story. Ohio treasure hunter who was sent to prison for refusing to tell authorities and investors where he stashed $500 million worth of gold discovered in a 1857 shipwreck has been released from jail. So here's the story. Thomas Thompson, now 73, was sent to prison in 2015 after he refused to tell a federal judge, his own lawyers, and his investors where he hid the collection of gold coins and bars discovered in a shipwreck off the SS Central America. According to the local outlet, the Columbus Dispatch, along with the wreck itself, Thomas allegedly found $100 million worth of gold coins and bars, the location of which never shared with his investors. The investors filed a lawsuit against Thompson in 2005, claiming that he sold $50 million worth of the gold without paying them. Thompson's claimed that the coins were turned over a trust in Belize and that the $50 million he made in the first sale went towards legal fees and bank loans, and claimed that he did not know where the rest of the gold was, per the AP. Now, why do I bring this story up? Is this a fraud case? Is it a embezzlement case? What the case is, I don't know. But the gold that has been there since, when was it? 1857? 1857. At the bottom of the sea, the gold was still gold. It did not change its property. It did not corrode or rust away. When I say if you don't hold it, you don't own it, that's what I'm talking about. If you bought Bitcoin a few months ago at $100,000 a coin, how's that doing for you? If the power was to go out because of a terrorist attack, what would happen to your Bitcoin? Your dollar bills will rot and mold and disappear. Your bank account, you don't hold it, you may not have access to it. But if you purchase gold and silver and other precious metals, they will always be gold and silver and other precious metals. They will always be worth something. And that's why I tell you this story, because this was found, it sunk in 1857, and when this guy found it in 2015, the gold was still gold. You say lead, if you're talking about the high velocity type, the powder that makes it high velocity can degrade over time. The bronze or brass can corrode, making it not effective. But gold and silver never changes its properties. It always is what it is. There's one other story that I'm just going to mention. There's a Air Force general that's been missing for a week, and it's kind of a story out there. Nobody knows where he is. He just happened to be working on UFO stuff. He walked away from his house, and nobody's seen him since. What does that mean? Does it mean that the UFOs are coming? Probably not. Does it mean that nefarious things? Could be. Does it mean that he just got sick of everything and walked away? Could be. I have no idea. But I'm putting that story out there just so that you know the story's there. And I got one other thing I want to talk about before we get off the show here, and that's this. You know, I've been pushing. It was almost a year ago that my income source that really put this show on went away. It was June when we first launched the company. Many of you signed up just to be able to get first dibs, and I appreciate you being there. And some of you did get first dibs. Some of you bought it. Some of you said it's not for me. Some of you said it's a little more than I can afford right now. I get it. It's fine. But this product says I'm down. I stood on the scales today. I was 278. I'm down below 280. And that's me after me spending all weekend down there in Orlando eating like I hadn't eaten before. Just taking this product alone. And we got several other products that are amazing. They're doing amazing things for us. Here's what I'm offering you. If you're just a customer of mine, or if you want to be a customer of mine, but maybe it's like I just can't afford it right now. There's a program going on where as a customer, you get your own link as a customer. Costs $0. You get your own link. And if you share that link and somebody buys, you get $10 off your next purchase. They get $10 off there. It might be 20 right now for a short period of time, but we'll call it 10. Right? And it's stackable. So if 10 people sign up as customers using your link, you will get $10 off times 10. So you get $100 off your purchase. So basically, you could get this product for free. So I'm making an offer right now. If you want to get product for free, If you want to say, oh, I want to try the product, but doggone it, I just thought it's not in the budget right now. I'm going to tell you, I'll get it for you for free if you want to do that. And the way that you do that is you text 620-2644 or send an email to patriotmike@gmail.com or send me a message on Facebook and say, I want to get in on this. How do I do it? Here's what I'll do. I'll send you a picture and I'll send you a text. Words. You share the picture onto your Facebook page or your Instagram, wherever you want to do it. You copy and paste the text. I'll show you how to get that link, and I will make sure that we're friends on Facebook, and I will take care of the rest. I will send your link to the people that are interested and help them walk through the process of buying the products and seeing if the product's right for them. And you will get the reward in the $10. Now, to the distributors that are out there, people have signed up as social marketers. You could do the same thing. And I will walk through the process with you, except that we'll use your link and you will get the pay. You will get paid. If you did 10 people, you'd make about $200. And that, again, will also get you your free products. And if you're going, well, wait a second, I don't want to be a customer. If we're going to do that, it's a better deal to be a social marketer. It's still free to sign up as a social marketer. Just saying. And understand, if 5 of those customers say, this product, I love it, I want to buy it again, and they get on auto ship or they buy again every month after month after month, you get that every month after month after month. So make sure, if you're interested, send me a message, whether you're a social marketer already, if you're already signed up as a customer or you want to be a customer, any of it, and you want to take advantage of this, send me a message. So this is a new thing we got going on. It worked really well in the old company. I think it'll work great here. You guys, I appreciate y'all being out there. It's Friday. You know what that means, right? That means take a break, relax. Take a break, and my dog's down here having nightmares. Wake her up. Turn the phone off. Do what Aaron does. You know, as a practicing Jew, those evil Jews, he turns his phone off tonight at sunset and doesn't turn it back on until sunset on Saturday. Do it. Take a day. Take a day off. Take a break. Unplug. Unwind. Relax. It's good for you. Charlie Kirk recommended it. I'll be back Monday. We'll talk about it. Everything that happened this weekend, we'll cover it. You guys have a great day. Patriot Mike is out.